sitting by the ocean. I rejoice in the beauty of nature.
Say okay.
It truly is a wonderful world. The beauty
Say okay.
that delights my senses also lives in me. The presence of God does not just around me, it is within me also. My divine gift, along with my talents and unique abilities, make me a beautiful and integral part of the world. When I live into the fullness of my divinity, the expression of my humanity is simply beautiful. I am a radiant spiritual being, an individualization of the divine. I honor the presence of God within myself and all others. We are beautiful. And from Psalm 27:4, one thing I asked of the Lord that I will seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord.
Wow. Thanks, Lillian. The
My
world
pleasure.
the world becomes beautiful when I find God in it. Let's affirm that together. The
The
world
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 becomes
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 beautiful
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 when I
when I
find
when I
find
God in
God
find
it.
in
God.
it.
So that daily word does not mess around. That's a truth that we can take to the bank.
Huh, great.
So welcome to Claudia. Welcome to Veldon and Diane and our Fresno folks. We have our Nicholas person. The whole world is watching, as the saying once went. So welcome everybody. So 3 weeks ago, when we had our last session, we were in this part of the overcoming, and we last read paragraphs 21 and 22 from what two mental steps are taken in overcoming. And I thought it would, because those two paragraphs are so powerful and useful, I thought it might be a good place to start to refresh our memories by rereading those two paragraphs, 21 and 22, and just kind of catch ourselves up to where we were. So, Leo, are you volunteering there?
Yes, I do.
Since you were since you were the guy that read them last time, I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
What two mental steps are taken in overcoming? The first step is for the individual to place himself consciously by faith in the Christ consciousness and hold himself there by training his thoughts to think on God ideas. This step is taken by the conscious phase of mind, the intellect or thinking faculty. One must consciously open his mind to divine ideas and must refuse to recognize anything but good. Thus, the change for error consciousness to spiritual consciousness is accomplished in one movement. The complete transformation, however, comes as the result of a second step by the subconscious phase of mind, the realm of feeling. The thoughts of God are taken into the storehouse of the subconscious phase of mind and produces states of mind that eventually bear fruit in the outer.
Thanks, Leo.
Well, I want to add to that, Marty. The
Yes.
last 3 weeks, I've been doing my homework on these two mental steps,
All right.
and it's
Gold star.
and it's up and downs, but I'm getting there. Thank you.
What's happened?
Uh, what I do now. My first affirmation is how you say that situational awareness grows and grows. That means in all kind of commonplaces when some old thinking erupts, I can grab it and change it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
I,
Anybody else have comments or thoughts about these two paragraphs, these two steps that are taken in overcoming? Any personal experience that you might want to share? I'd just like to note that in 22, when he talks about, or the author talks about the complete transformation comes as a result of the step taken by the subconscious phase of mind, the realm of feeling. The first step, when we acknowledge and open ourselves to the affirmation that divine ideas are entirely present and driving my own consciousness, that's a surface awareness, and that's really important. And then we move to reprogram our subconscious away from belief in things of the flesh, as Emily Cady so aptly puts it, into the things of the divine, so that we begin to have automatic thinking, regardless of what happens. Our automatic thoughts acknowledge the presence of God rather than forget the presence of God. So it's the second step. I understand it as a retraining of the subconscious mind, which is the bridge to the divine, but it's also putty in our hands. Which way do we want it to go?
Can I add something, Marty?
Yes, please.
The last few years, I've been come upon a saying that the Thais use, and they copy the English. They say check do, and you would say they check and do. No, because do in Thai means look at it. So wherever I come, I ask them to do check tam do, and they are taken by surprise because tam means the real do. So only if you practice what you have in your concepts can you come to the stuff of the subconscious mind. Then you unearth it and you refine it. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay. Thank you.
What is the phrase again? Come do or tum do?
Oh, the Thai take over a lot of English words, but they add their own idea about that. So they use check do, and English-oriented speakers think they mean check and do, but it's not true. They check and they look. They do nothing. So wherever I come, I change when they say check do. I say, please check tam do. And tam is the equivalent of the English to do, to take action.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a certain Buddhist element to what you're saying, Leo.
Uh-huh. Well, I find the real Buddhist in the family life, Marty, and I've been among Buddhist monks, and some are okay, but I have to say 99 is on a student level, and well, anyway, but there are some really nice encounters on that level. But you come into any family, and you will really meet practical Buddhism. Really.
Wow. Cool.
Lovely.
Thank you. Anybody else have thoughts or comments on these two paragraphs? Then let's move on to 23. Who will read?
I will.
Okay.
The working of truth from the inner, the within, to the outer, from consciousness into the body and affairs, is what is meant by working out one's own salvation. It is incorporating divine ideas of life, love, light, substance, intelligence into one's consciousness and letting these ideas be expressed in his ideas and feelings, in his words and actions, that he is saved from all false thinking and its effects in his life here and now. This is working out on one's own salvation. Be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12, verse 2. Holding oneself mentally in the Christ consciousness, by faith, consciously connects one with the truth of being. Truth quickening. Sorry, that was too fast. Truth quickens the mind and renews it. Sorry. And the renewed mind transforms the whole man.
Thanks, Leo.
I
Okay,
can, I
Fred.
can, I can add to that. It's just working, guys. It's just great. I just love it. It's just working. If I start to stutter in everyday circumstances, I get a block. I just step up to the Christ consciousness, and it doesn't take a minute, or I get a new idea. Lovely.
There you go. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
I would say it's simple but not easy.
There you go. Can you say more?
Well, it's like we all aspire, all of us truth students who've been here, around these writings know all the maxims, thoughts held in mind, produce after their kind, and the laws of attraction. For me, the one I use is watch your thoughts, it becomes your words. Watch your words, it becomes your actions. But it's so difficult at times to watch one's thoughts. We've talked about this before. I mean, pretty soon you kind of catch yourself and you're like, where the hell have I been? Where was my mind going? It's like, and bringing it back into conscious or super conscious managing of the subconscious mind.
Claudia, I use a little trick that I learned here in Thailand, and that is mindful breathing. And because I do it all the time, even if I get caught in an act of unawareness, because I breathe to my lower abdomen and then go up. That means I connect immediately the three phases of consciousness. And it works. It's just good. And because I do that breathing automatically, and by the way, we need to breathe, so you can't hold on your breath anyway. So it's a nice, how you say that, tool to use.
Well, that's good. I mean, and what you're also doing at a physical level is you're moving yourself from your sympathetic nerve into your parasympathetic nerve, which is telling your body it's okay. We don't have to be prepared to fight or flight. We can relax and release. So what you're doing at it's super. And when I remember to do it, I do it too. But it's great. It's absolutely perfect. And if you can walk around in that state of breathing, you have literally told your body, you are controlling your body from your mind to put it into that place of relaxation. That's the physicalness of what you're doing. And then of course you're doing it because you have that mental awareness. So
then you come in the now, in the here and now. And that means also that your past experiences, they are there, but they no longer determine you because there is an eternal now. So you can make a new decision.
The damnedest thing is my body always thinks it needs to go into fight and flight. So it's a conscious effort to make sure that I say, nah, no tigers in the jungle, no snakes on the ground, just breathe. But you're right. I mean, that's the mountain we're trying to climb.
And that's exactly what we read here in the first sentence, where it says the working of truth from the inner, the within to the outer, from consciousness into the body, which is what you guys were just talking about, and affairs is what is meant by working out one's own salvation. Life is lived from the inside out is another one of those slogans that we use. And the body is the temple. The body is the temple of the divine. And when we use it for that purpose, then it becomes that instrument of conveyance of truth for us. at the level of feeling. And feeling is, as you were saying, Leo, feeling is putting myself in the now, because my feelings are only now. I don't have feelings yesterday and I don't have feelings tomorrow. I can only have feelings in the moment.
Great addition. Thank you, Monty.
You bet. Other thoughts, friends? Yes, Janet. You're going to have to unmute, my friend.
Sorry. Can
There
I
you
read a
go.
little out of the annotations?
Please
Because I
do.
love them.
Yeah, please.
This is annotation 15 in Practice in Overcoming. We must hold firmly to the belief that it is possible here and now to master our lower nature and to live the present life in the Christ consciousness. This work is not to be postponed. As a matter of fact, we do not, quote, live, but only exist before we are awakened to the Christ consciousness. Secondly, as the determination and the constant endeavor to live up to daily overcoming becomes more stable, they find expression in our mode of thought, feeling, and living. The idea grows in strength and clarity through constant attention, and it becomes in time the dominating factor of our lives. We are no longer affected by the thoughts of those with whom we come in contact. The Christ ideal has become established in our subconsciousness, and we are so filled with spirit that we radiate it spontaneously and effortlessly. And I would like to believe all that. I'm working on it.
So, in your own words, what does that say?
It means to keep working at it and to keep trying to put the positive thought, change the negative thought to the positive thought, and change the fear thought to the this is all fine. I'm under the care and protection of my higher power. I'm learning to exhibit Christ consciousness, and I'm going to handle this in a different way. And I really, I've been tested since you were gone, Marty,
Okay.
and I failed sometimes, but I'm aware of, I am aware that I'm failing, and I even can understand why I'm failing. And I just walk away and say, I'm going to do better the next time. So it's a work in progress. I'm a
Yeah.
work in progress.
Yeah, and our failures are our teachers if we let them be.
Yes.
Can I add one? Because the one or two last sentences you read, Janet, I love that one too, because it says, not let other people influence your subconscious, not let them write your subconscious, not go with the flow, not go with the mass, but be in your own individual self.
Yeah, and I would be so bold as to say it's utterly okay to fail. It's okay to fail because God is in the failure as well as in the success. Other thoughts? Okay, let's move on to paragraph 24. If there's nothing else, who would read 24? Let's give Leo a rest and somebody else volunteer.
I'm happy to read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the difference between an overcomer and one who merely does the best he can?
Mm.
It is sometimes taken for granted that if a man does the best he can, no more should be expected of him. However, persons all over the world are doing the best they can, yet they are not being saved from sin, sickness, poverty, and death. It is evident that they should do more than they are doing, more than they have thought they could. The difference between one who merely does the best he can and a real overcomer is in consciousness. One uses his own mental effort in the trial and error method. The other turns consciously to the Christ within himself and uses the creative power of God to improve his consciousness and eventually his life and affairs. The overcomer lays hold of a divine power through faith, which enables him to do what he of himself could not do. Let me say that again. The overcomer lays hold of a divine power through faith, which enables him to do what he of himself could not do. This is the power of the indwelling Christ. I can of myself do nothing. John 5:30. I can do all things in him that strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. One's success as an overcomer depends upon the understanding that he has of the Christ principle within. Prayer enables him to get this understanding.
Thanks, Gretchen. Thoughts? What do you hear in this paragraph? Gretchen, you even reread one of the sentences.
Yeah, I mean that sentence right there is the turning point. And what it shares to me is that the way in which I lay a hold of divine power is through faith. And I've spent a good amount of time recently looking at faith, and what came to me this morning is that there are two pillars of faith. Maybe two pillars that comprise faith is a better way to say it. One is the consciousness that God is. So my suspicion is that, all of us on this meeting have crossed that bridge. Like, yes, God is undeniably. The second is that God gives, that God is the giver, that God is the one who delivers all. And I think that has been that's a place of growth for me. And yet when I look at its truth, it is fully and completely true, that God is the fullest giver through grace, not through works, not through merit. And the idea that faith is essentially stands on those two ideas gives a lot of power to a piece in First Thessalonians, which says that the will of God for me is to give thanks. That's God's will for me, is to give thanks in everything. That in everything. And it's what you say, Marty, that God is in it all. God is in whatever we perceive as success and failure. That God is the giver in all of that. And so the idea that laying a hold of divine power is through the tenets of God is and God gives always is pretty powerful for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
sharing Thessalonians. That's a good one. To give thanks in all things requires faith, doesn't it?
So it's both, right? It's like it is faith, it requires faith. And so it is its own circuit. And at closing of that circuit, yeah,
One of those old maxims I was talking about earlier is, we
very
say
much.
God is the giver and the gift.
And the gift, right?
So
Yeah.
God is the giver and the gift. It's like, okay. What
Yeah.
I took away from this is that you can really try hard to do the right thing and think the right thoughts, but it's not just in the trying, it's in the giving over to faith that will take you to that next level of, I was going to say accomplishment or achievement, but maybe I'll just use the word again, overcoming. That when you say, okay, I've moved my feet and now I'm turning it over, to that greater power within and without, that's where this reading was helpful for me.
I want to share something that happened that is about this, I think. Um, in June, I had an outing with my daughter, and it went really bad because I always pray in advance of something in sort of a generic way, but it really went off the rails on a multiple of levels. And when I got home from that and thought about it and prayed about it, I asked her if we could do a revisit in the fall to the same place. And I said, I'm going to be different by then, and I'm going to do this in a different way. And I really don't think it will be anything like what we went through. Um, she thought I was dying at this event we went to, and I kept telling her I was fine. And she got very angry that I hadn't owned up to how unwell I felt and take some appropriate action. So this time, I had, when we had been talking about this, I thought, you at least have to learn from an experience that's going to be duplicated and see where you went wrong and then put the Christ consciousness ahead of things, t- you know, point by point, not just a throwaway, oh, let's, please help us to have a safe and good day. Remember about the different things that happened and where they went off the rails. And we had the most amazingly wonderful time. And I felt healthy. I felt much, much stronger. She's not a big faith person. And she said, well, it makes perfect sense. It's not as hot. And you have on the right shoes. And I said, yes, that's true. I said, but there's more to it than that. I said, I knew I couldn't do this alone. I said, I didn't really even want to come back here. I said, but here we are. And I said, I'm having a good time. Are you? And she said, this is great. And then we went on to a couple of the additional stops that included eating in a restaurant, which I never do. And this time I thought, enjoy this food, enjoy this. And I prayed for the help. And I got 5 stars for cleaning my plate. She was astounded. She said, I've not seen you eat so much in 5 years. She said, how did you do that? And I said, I didn't do anything. I said, that's what prayer does. And I said, I enjoyed every minute of it. And so for me, it takes some specificity of seeing where I went off the rails. And I know the things that happened this week didn't involve her, but other people, that I was just being very cavalier about God's got this covered. God is with me. I carry my Christ consciousness. I have to be specific about, okay, you're going to be walking into a blankety blank. You need to be right asking for help with the blankety blank, not just a generic kind of a prayer. And reading this today, I think this is the difference for me, is to just be specific and ask for help. And it has worked. So I'm going to keep trying to do that.
It
Oh,
sounds
no.
like it's indeed. It sounds like you have discovered for yourself how this stuff that we've been reading is actually has a practical application. In the moment, in the different challenges that we experience as human beings, health, relationship, finances, these are not just lovely esoteric ideas that float so serenely through the scriptures, but they're also helps in present moment. And I think, Leo, you also, excuse me, referred to that a few minutes ago when you were talking about the Thai expression about do and see and so forth. It's again the same, or you also talked about your practice that you have with breathing and the breath from the depth of your torso being again very practical, a very practical means of
Stay
Igniting,
connected.
yeah, igniting awareness and consciousness of the presence.
Mhm.
Anything else on this this paragraph? These what 21, 22, 23, these four paragraphs are pretty loaded with powerful insights, as we've said.
Janet, I agree with you. I I do both. I am very general in terms of my affirmations and kind of, and then I also am specific. And some of the Unity writings tell you not to be specific, to they call it outlining. However, it works for me as long as I leave room for God, like, and that's that footnote, this God or something better, so you're not like, or you're not telling the universe how to manifest through you, but just saying, and if you have some better ideas, have at it. Right?
Yeah, I had experience of that, Claudia, when I was in Costa Rica. I My friend lives the friend I was staying with lives in a very nice Tony suburb of San Jose, but one of the characteristics of Costa Rica culture is they're just a little careless with construction, and so I'm taking my walk around her neighborhood, and the sidewalk is just uneven and got cracks, and I managed to trip and fall within a block of leaving, and I was uh, unhappy with the fact that I didn't pay attention to the fact that there was an uneven slab of concrete that I caught my foot on and caused me to fall. So I just got up. Fortunately, I didn't get hurt. Um, I got up and I just set the intention. I intend to walk safely through this neighborhood as calling on my higher power to direct my body's awareness of spatial reality, and I didn't fall the rest of the time I was there as I was taking my walks. Now, a little practical thing, very specific, very directed. I didn't want to fall, and I wanted to create a sense of awareness and consciousness in my body of the spatial reality of the environment. So sometimes that very practical, specific thing, um, I often use it also when if I have uh, if I have trouble sleeping, which I don't usually, if I have trouble sleeping, before I go to sleep, before I turn the lights out, I just set I intend to sleep soundly through the night. And again, instructions to the subconscious. This is partly what I think these paragraphs are about, that we have through the power of grace the ability to notice and to use that ability to notice to command. Ask and you shall receive, knock and it shall be opened unto you, seek and
I
you shall
think
find.
I think too what you did was it was a direction to the subconscious and engage the higher conscious to
Exactly.
carry that out. Otherwise
Exactly.
the subconscious kind of just, does a default thing whenever.
Exactly.
So your intention engage the higher conscious as well.
It's like based on what I just heard you say, it's like commanding or igniting the conscious partnership between the sub and the super consciousness.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
It,
think that's what we do. We
yeah.
just I think that the key is we often forget to do it. You know, like I try to remember to do it when I get in my car.
Yeah.
I try to remember to white light my car and protect it and me and to be safe. You
Yeah.
know, um, and then when I see those crazy people cutting in front of me, I have now trained myself to say, "Bless you," because before I used to yell at them. And now I just say, "Bless you. I hope you get to where you're going safely."
Right.
You know, um, but it's the engagement, it's the conscious awareness and then engagement of the higher conscious.
Yeah. Anything
I have
else?
another,
Yeah,
I have
Leo.
another one. Uh, when you're driving and traffic slows down and comes to a stop, and I get annoyed, you know what I do? I put on a clown suit and I take a big ladder on my shoulder and I take a bucket with water and I wash all the windows of all the cars in front of me. Traffic starts very soon now.
Wait, are you doing that mentally or are you physically
Yeah.
getting out of your car and doing it?
I visualize that.
Oh, you visualize it. Okay. Because I was kind of having fun thinking of you doing that.
I had that too,
Of
Claudia.
course.
Like Leo carries around a bucket of water in his car for the stop
The
traffic.
clown
And a
suit kind
ladder
of got
on
me though.
top.
Oh, okay,
But visualization of it is the same thing to the consciousness.
Sure.
Well, it works great, guys. Really.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. If here, end of the month, electric stops here, just as a small reminder of the government, please pay your bills. And I always go to the supply line and say, please come back. And it works. It works. It's good.
Well, not to be outdone by uh, Leo, speaking of water in the wind, I keep a spray bottle in the side of the door of my car because the windshield washer quit working. And so when I need to get the windshield wiped, I roll the window down and I hold that out over the thing and squirt the windshield while the windshield wipers are cleaning the windshield. So it's called resourcefulness, isn't it, Leo?
True.
Well, let's call it, for the purposes of this lesson, let's call it divine resourcefulness.
I really like what Claudia and Marty shared because now I realize what I was doing. I was not outlining for God, I was outlining for my subconscious that carries such a different set of rules, regulations, and expectations than my nice conscious self does. That subconscious has really been a challenge to me because it's filled with all sorts of distorted thinking. And I was outlining, I didn't know it until you said it just now, but I thought, yeah, you weren't telling God what to do or even asking God. You were just telling your subconscious, please let it be this way, not your way, you know? And now I can understand it enough to try to do it again in a different situation because it makes me, I really don't like the idea of outlining for God. That slows me down pretty fast if I think I'm trying to be bossy and tell God what to do. But telling my subconscious what to do is it's a good goal. And I get it now. I understand.
Would you be willing to consider that God is not in the least bit upset by your being bossy to it? And would you be willing to also consider that it's a two-way street, that the so when I use an intention or an affirmation, it's simultaneously an instruction to the higher power to create that which I cannot create of my own power, and it's an instruction to my subconscious to shift toward the area of affirmation or the outcome of affirmation that I'm wanting. So the higher power, God, is the agency that affects the change, not Marty. And so that instruction is actually necessary. That's why, again, I offer us to consider that Jesus is explicit. Ask and you shall receive, but you got to ask. Seek and you shall find, but you got to seek. Knock and it will be opened unto you. You got to knock. So you are instructing God, but God says, please instruct me. I will do for you what you want, because God will also deliver you sorrow and pain and suffering if that's your instruction. God doesn't discriminate. This is the thing that blows my mind when I consider this whole creation thing, is that there's a freedom that God has created us with, a freedom, which the same freedom that God has to create this particular universe. He could have created a different universe. Maybe he has created other universes. We don't even know. But there's freedom that's marbled through the entire creation. And that freedom basically is the absence of coercion. It's like, what do you want? You get to choose. God does not make us choose, does not tell us what to choose. God leaves that door completely open to us.
God says always yes.
God always says yes. God even says yes to our no.
Mhm.
It just
Sure.
may not be in the time frame that you think, because there's no time in God time.
Right.
I mean, it's always good to set a time frame, but just because you want to win the lottery doesn't mean it's going to happen the next time the lottery happens.
Right.
Right.
Or it may be a different lottery you end up winning.
Yeah. Sometimes things show up in my life and I think, gosh, that was quite a while ago I asked for that. That's why it's good to write it down, because otherwise you forget. Well, at least I do anyway.
Yeah.
So
Okay, anything else on this section before we move on?
there's only one thing I want to add.
Yeah, please.
I have this feeling, and it's not a good one, but it's a feeling that I'm going to get at the end of my life to wherever I'm going. And I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I could have had that. I think we have a lot more power than we even can possibly imagine that we do to create. It's just that we have been limited. We have limited ourselves. And, right now, I think what we're doing is to tap into Veldon's point, we're cleaning the windshield. We're cleaning the windshield of all the misunderstandings and the misinformation that we have received through the years. And we're trying to get clarity and see the full light that's shining in.
Yes, and would you be willing to consider the possibility that what the game that God is playing is completely outside of our awareness? That God may be playing a much huger and complex and more powerful and beautiful game than our little human minds can conceive, and yet we are playing our part in it.
I would be willing to consider that my soul is playing with God
Yeah,
in a game that my conscious awareness, my Claudia, my personality, isn't aware of.
yeah,
That's I think that God and my soul and God, which are one, of course, are playing a game that I'm just kind of catching on to.
yeah,
I'm just learning the rules. Let me put it that way.
yeah.
I have to comment on Claudia's comment there. The thing that kind of occurs to me, I think we realize we're all spiritual beings in a physical body. And doesn't that play into, if we're in a physical body, we're also in a physical world. So how much does the spiritual body affect the physical world that we're around in? And which would play into Claudia's thoughts now, why wasn't I much more prosperous, or whatever, other things are. And don't the two kind of meld together, with a physical body being in a physical world versus the spiritual body being in the physical world? It seems there's a dichotomy there.
Well, I'm trying to say is, gee, I could have had a V8, if you remember that old commercial. I'm just saying that yes, yes, Veldon, and that the spiritual component is so much powerful than maybe in my earlier years I thought it was. So I'm just unfolding it.
Yeah, the challenge that I have in appreciating, I'm not going to say understanding, I'm going to say appreciating the reality that we are in is that on the one hand, we are, as this is, I think, Veldon, I'm just going to say slightly different words than you used, we are dimensional beings. Our bodies exist in time and space. They have a beginning and an end. And at the same time, we are divine and spiritual beings that have no beginning, have no end, do not even recognize the notion of time. Time has no meaning, and place has no meaning in the infinite. And we are both at the same time. And there's some purpose that God has in mind by creating it this way. And that's what eludes me at the level of Marty. I can invent reasons why that might be the case, but those are my human reasons. And ultimately, I don't need to know. I really don't need to know. Um, my mind wants to, and I love my mind, but I really don't need to know. I'm just willing to be present with reality as it is and be along for the ride, see what happens.
I'd like to add something too. This section is dealing with consciousness, and I find myself in a state of confusion with all the states of consciousness that have been brought to my attention. I have physical consciousness, I am unconscious, I have super consciousness, I have cosmic consciousness, I have Christ consciousness. What the hell is it all together? Is it all in one ball of wax that I am a part of, or what and to whom am I addressing myself in terms of consciousness? Got any thoughts?
Well, I think each one of us has to work that out. Again, what do we say here at the beginning of this section? Oh, shoot. I overshot the mark here. It says the first step is to place ourselves consciously in faith and hold ourselves there by training our thoughts to think on God ideas. We have to do this individually.
Yeah, that sounds to me like physical consciousness and applying
Yeah,
one's thought consciously to the good.
right.
And then the second step, go over that one again.
So then to complete the transformation into divine consciousness, there's your consciousness, Diane,
Another one.
by
That's
the
your higher
subconscious,
consciousness.
right? So the concept that I have with this is that there is only God consciousness, and it's human conscious that the human version of God consciousness likes to divide things up into various categories. But just as color is all light that's been passed through a spectrum and divided, color is equally light. Purple is as light as green, as yellow, as red. It's just all light
Yeah.
that in the physical realm can be split into seemingly different versions of it. So consciousness, subconsciousness, superconsciousness, regular old human consciousness, it's all consciousness.
Yeah, right.
It's just all it is. That's the way I understand it. However, each of us will come to his or her own understanding based on our own experience and what works. And there's no wrong answer.
Maybe they're all aspects of God consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Different refraction of light.
There you go.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Well, Emily Cady says that you have personality and individuality,
Right.
and your personality is how you show up as Diane. That's you, that we know of you. And your individuality is that part of you that's the part of God within you, the spark of God, the divine, the Christ self. So, if you're just talking about, if you're just talking about God stuff, or if you're just talking about, unity stuff, then, there's only two. But of course, when you go out into the material world, then they've divided it up into three. And they say that there's the conscious mind, which is you, Diane, and me talking together, the subconscious mind, which is, operating in the background underneath, and it's doing its default thing and, kind of hanging out down there. Maybe it's thinking about something else at the same time, or maybe it's doing something else. And then there's the higher conscious, and that's the part of you the part of us that is the divine as well. So, and then other psychiatrists call it different things. It gets very confusing. So I just like Marty's term, it's all God, because it's all good.
I have a small different perspective on that, and that is for me, there is trauma in the world, and trauma makes that we create personas, and persona is a mask. We have within ourselves different eyes that blend, change, adapt as to the environment we are in. And now I would like to refer to the Greek, no, the Egyptian idea of Osiris, which means Osiris was killed by Set, and Set is the opponent. That means your whole is cut in pieces, and some of them show up here because it's appropriate, and others don't show up here because they're hiding. But if you are in a situation of life and death, then your warrior will come up. And that warrior has only one thing to do, and that is protect the vehicle, the body. And you wouldn't show that warrior in a nice setting, let me put it that way. So you hide that one. And so personality should grow into individuality, and individuality means undivided being. That is all of you. I acknowledge all my personalities, and I shift between them. But the higher me, the Christ in me, I give control. I say, okay, you are the one that can make me change my expression in that moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
So another way to, based on what I'm hearing you say, Leo, another way to express what Emily Katie's idea is, that Claudia was just sharing with us, is that individual, that I, is the I of the I am. So your idea that it's undividable means that our identity is both the personality, the Marty of me, and the God of me, the divine of me, which is undividable. It's the totality. Remember what Eric Butterworth says is that all of spirit is located right here, right now.
Well, Jesus
in each of
also
us.
said, Jesus rebuked Peter. He said, "Get you behind me, Satan." That means he didn't reject that part of his personality. He just addressed it and said, "You are no longer in control. You
Right.
get behind me." Yeah. So, and that is what we need to do in our day-to-day life. All these uncomfortable situations where unexpected me's turn up, we need to own them. We need to acknowledge them and say, okay, thank you for showing up. I see you have a purpose. And I can imagine situations that you should get control, but not now.
Well, because he also said, love your enemies.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying.
Yes, same thing. But
yeah.
Now the second one is the enemies you see is a reflection of the enemy inside of you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, my friends, we are coming toward the bottom of the hour, so
Wow.
we haven't we got through two paragraphs, and good thing we're not in a race, and we don't have a deadline. We'll pick up next week, standards and overcoming. Um, but before we wrap it up, I'll just again open up to any final thoughts that anybody would like to share about what you read today or what you heard.
I just want to ask Janet, the annotations are way at the end of this section or what?
Yeah, when I printed out the thing off of the Truth Unity website, it just kept giving me pages, and the annotations were at the end of the chapter.
Right, so if I
So,
were to scroll down, Lillian, if I were to scroll down, they would be at the end of the web page.
Oh, okay.
So you
I think
can
I've looked at it before, yeah.
yeah, so the link is in the email I send out every week, so you can go check it out if you want.
Okay.
And you too can be as smart as Janet.
oh yeah, yeah, there's something to shoot for. But
I
I was
would
going to say
I,
that what I do in the homework is when we started a new chapter and I've got this stack of papers, I test myself and my brain power, and I try to find where in the annotations it's talking about in the text. So I match them up so that I can easily find them, when the class starts, so that before the class,
Oh, yeah.
because the numbers are all different and the
right.
pages are all different. So at first it was quite confusing to me, but it's helped me a lot because the annotations say it in a different way that is somehow clearer to a newbie, and I really like having them.
No, and I appreciate whenever you raise specific issues from the notes that you have found useful.
Right. I do too.
Yeah.
So
Gretchen,
Cool.
Gretchen had her hand up.
right.
She doesn't know that we're just one of those groups that barges in and starts talking. Welcome, Gretchen.
Thank you, Claudia. It's all good. As I think about the wholeness of this conversation, I just still return back to the thing that was on my heart earlier today, which is in everything, give thanks. That is the will of God in Christ concerning you. Give thanks for
Amen.
everything, 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 everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention along those lines, Gretchen, that October 1st is going to start a gratitude study, or a gratitude, not even a study, practice that Unity is doing. And so they're sending out for the whole month, like a gratitude, and then you can do it on your own, but sometimes there's strength in numbers. And the first week starts with prosperity. The first week is what you're grateful for in terms of prosperity. The second week is what you're grateful for in terms of health and well-being. And I actually don't remember what the third and fourth weeks are, but maybe Marty, you can send that email, a link out to the group, because I don't have the group, but you do. And it's just a on your own type of thing. You just download it and do the practice, and know that thousands of other people are doing it with you. So there's strength in numbers.
If you can,
Wow.
if you can send me the information.
Sure.
I don't know if I have it.
Okay. I'll be glad to.
Then I'll put it in the next reminder email.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I just Gretchen, when you talked about in everything give thanks, I remember for those of you who are veterans of Christ Unity Church, I remember a speech or a talk that Jim Lee, who was our minister in the 2000s, talked about. He said, I'll never forget, he said, notice it doesn't say you have to give thanks for everything. He said, in everything. And that really made a difference to me because it's like, I'm not going to be grateful for cancer. I'm not going to be grateful for war. And he said, no, it's not about being grateful for these things. It's being grateful in them, that they
Very
are all part of the great reality of God.
Yeah.
That's a nuance, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, thank you, everybody. It's good to see you. As always, my limited little Marty mind was like, what if nobody shows up after 2 weeks? And so
Oh, no, we were waiting.
I hear you. So let's conclude with our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us.
surrounds us.
The
The
love
love
of
of
God
God
enfolds us.
enfolds us.
us.
The
The
power
power
of
of
God
God
protects us.
protects us.
The
The
presence
presence
of
of
God
God
watches
watches
over us.
over us.
us.
Wherever we
Wherever we
are,
are,
God
God
is,
is,
and
and
all is well.
all is well.
Well.
Thank you,
Amen.
Thank you,
Marty.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody. See you in October.
Okey doke.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.